Let's talk about the garage. For a lot of us, it becomes a total sauna every summer, right? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're breaking down a complete step-by-step guide to get that space back. Let's get into it. You know that feeling when you crack open the garage door and just get hit with a wave of hot, stale air? Yeah, we've all been there. It's a super common problem, but the good news is it is absolutely solvable. So let's dive right in with phase one. This is all about the stuff you can do today without spending a single penny. We're talking zero-cost cooling hacks. Okay, we're looking at 4 really simple changes to your routine. It starts with where you park your car, then it's about timing when you open and close the garage. After that, clearing out junk to get the air moving, and finally, just unplugging stuff that's putting out heat. Simple, right? But trust me, it's effective. So that first step is a bigger deal than you might think. Parking a hot car inside can jack up the temperature by 10 to 20 degrees. It's called heat soak. That engine is just radiating heat into the closed space. The fix? Just let your car cool down in the driveway for a bit before you pull it in. Easy. Next up, we've got night flushing. And this is such a simple, brilliant idea. You're basically letting your garage breathe. You let it exhale all that hot air it collected during the day, and then inhale the cool night air. So you open everything up when it's cool outside, and then, this is key, you seal it all up tight before the sun starts beating down again. Okay, on to phase 2. Once you've got those free habits down, it's time to talk about a few small investments that can make a huge difference in how comfortable your garage feels. And here's a perfect example. Your lights. You know those old school incandescent bulbs? They're basically tiny little space heaters. Switching over to LEDs is a total win-win. They give off almost no heat and they save you money on your energy bill. It's one of the easiest and best upgrades you can possibly make. Now, let's talk about moving some air. Fans are your best friend here, but you gotta use them right. See, fans don't actually lower the temperature of the room, they cool you by creating a breeze. The absolute best strategy is to create a cross draft. Put one fan in a window or door pushing hot air out, and another one somewhere else pulling cooler air in. And what if your garage has windows? Well, they're probably letting in a ton of heat. But get this, a simple roll of reflective window film can block up to 99% of UV rays. That is a massive reduction in solar heat for a really tiny investment of time and money. All right, we've managed the heat inside. We've made some smart, cheap upgrades. Now it's time for phase 3, defense. We are going to build a thermal barrier to stop that heat from even getting in. And this quote just perfectly illustrates why insulation is so critical. I mean, think about it. Your garage door is just this huge sheet of metal baking in the sun all day. It literally becomes a giant radiator, sometimes hitting over 130 degrees and just beaming all that heat straight into your workspace. The goal here is to create a complete seal. You can start with a simple DIY insulation kit for that garage door. Then you go on a hunt, find every little gap around doors and windows, and seal them up with weather stripping and caulk. And hey, if your walls and ceiling are just bare studs, insulating them is a game changer. And don't forget the attic above the garage. A radiant barrier up there can slash the heat transfer. Okay, let's move on to the final phases. I like to call these the power-ups. This is where we bring in some bigger equipment and start thinking about the outside of the garage for some serious temperature control. So when it comes to active cooling, you've got a clear choice, and it really depends on where you live. If you're in a hot, dry climate, an evaporative cooler, you might know it as a swamp cooler, is an amazing energy-efficient option. But if you're battling humidity, good old-fashioned air conditioning is going to be your most effective weapon, giving you total control over the temperature. Another really powerful tool is active ventilation. We all know heat rises, right? So the air up by your garage ceiling is always the hottest. An exhaust fan mounted on a wall or the roof physically sucks that superheated air out, which then pulls cooler, fresher air in from down below to replace it. And for the long game, you gotta think outside the box, or, well, outside the garage. Painting your garage a light color will actually reflect a lot of sunlight instead of absorbing it. And planting deciduous trees is just a brilliant natural solution. They give you all this amazing shade in the summer, then they drop their leaves in the winter to let the sun in to help warm things up. Okay, I know we've covered a ton of ground. So to make all this a little more real, let's wrap it all up with a shopping list to help you get started on your garage transformation. So for those first 3 phases, these are your essentials. You've got the easy wins, like your LED bulbs and some good shop fans. Then you've got your ceiling supplies, the window film, weather stripping, and caulk. And finally, the big insulation items for the door, walls, and attic. And then, for phases 4 and 5, we're looking at the bigger ticket items. This is your active cooling equipment like exhaust fans and AC units, and of course, the supplies for those long-term exterior projects like paint and trees. You know, we covered a ton of strategies here, but I bet some of you out there have some other clever hacks. So if you found this useful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. But most importantly, drop your best garage cooling trick in the comments below. Let's help each other out. And really, that brings us to the end. Because the goal here isn't just to have a cool garage, it's to get back a huge, usable piece of your home. So the real question is, once you've made it a comfortable space again, what are you finally going to be able to do in there? Thanks for tuning in.